everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia, and today's video I'm sharing with you guys the step that I take to do the stitching around the hardcovers journals that I create. And I'm very excited to share this with you. I'm also a little bit nervous, as this is definitely the step for me that feels like my own, like my style, a little bit like the finishing touches for my journal, although it's never the last step. But I really hope that you'll enjoy seeing this process. If you have any questions, please comment down below. I'm happy to answer and to try my best to help you. If you do try this method, please tag me, send me a message with pictures of your work. I would love to see. I really enjoy engaging with all of you. Yeah, I think that's about it. I hope that you enjoy this video, and let's get started. So let's get started. Here I'm showing you I have a couple brad clips, and I plan on using those to secure a part of the fabric that's going to be kind of flapping around the front cover to create a pocket in the front of the journal, or the inside front of the journal. And so to do that, I need to place my fabric accordingly, and just so that I know exactly where to make those holes where I'll be able to insert those brad clips. I've used this method before, not exactly to create a pocket, but I really enjoy using that method to secure some fabrics onto a cover. It just adds a little bit more interest, and it's really fun. So my first step here is going to be to clip my fabric exactly how I want it to lay on the cover as I'm going to be sewing it. And here you can see the fabrics that I'm using a little bit better, actually. So I have two pieces of velvet that I've sewed together, and then I've sewed those onto this beautiful vintage floral fabric that was sent to me by Charise. I'm so in love with the fabrics that she sent me, and I can't get myself to use all of them. I'm just slowly picking at the pile, but it's really hard. I'm sure some of you can relate with it feels like little treasures, and you don't want to run out. So yeah, so here I'm just I just put a first clip and trying to see when I fold my journal, how is that velvet reaching over? Is there enough, is it placed correctly? So you're gonna see me kind of fiddle with that a little bit and try and make it perfect. I've pre-made some holes here that you can see, but I am gonna be making some more holes on camera, obviously, as I've shared in the beginning of this video in my intro. But to speed up the process, of course, I created a few holes. And so here you see me creating a first hole, because I know that my fabric is going to reach around there. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. So I'm just being very careful when I create these holes. If my fingers are on the other side, I make sure that I'm aligned in a way that obviously I'm not going to stab myself. It's very important, although I've definitely, I most often stab myself with the needle, not with this tool. But it takes, depending on the cover that you're using, it will take quite a while, and it can, you do have to be quite careful. You can really hurt yourself doing this. So I mean, do it at your own risk. Some covers are definitely softer than others. Yeah, and then, oh yeah. So here you see me, I'm just using my ruler and trying to space out my holes depending on which like what kind of design I'm going for. My holes will be closer together or a little bit wider apart. Here I think I'm doing about 1.5 centimeters apart, give or take. It's not going to be perfect either because it doesn't add up to work, and that's okay. Like it's a handmade product. I'm not expecting it to be perfectly measured. That's never my intention when I create journals, really. And so I always kind of pre-make my holes with my ruler there. I don't like to use a pen, but you could, or like a pencil probably would be better. And then I go back in and then really do all my holes at the same time. And here I've just sped up because it takes me a while to get through the cover. So now you see those holes. And then I still need to create 2 holes that I'm going to be placing to get that fabric for my brad clips. But I do need the fabric to be really in place. So I'm going to clip all of it essentially so that this fabric is where I want it to be before I'm able to unclip certain parts. It'll all make sense once you see me do it, I think, but I'm just gonna add some more clips to secure everything in place right now. So because I've clipped my fabric in the way that I wanted to lay, now I'm able to see exactly where that that fold over is going to be and exactly where I'm going to be able to make those holes and to insert my brad clips to create that pocket, of course. So because I have those 2 clips in place, I'm going to be able to unclip the rest so that when I create my holes and I put my brad clips in, they are going to be only going through the cover, but not the front of the fabric, because I don't want them to show through the fabric, of course. So now I'm ready to grab my little brad clips. Now, if you have like longer brad clips, this would probably be a little bit easier. These are the only ones I have on hand. They still work. I mean, it's really not an issue, but I'm only assuming it would be even better if the brad clips had longer, like longer legs or arms, or I'm not too sure what the longer part would be called. But I'm just putting both of them through those holes, and I'm going to flip my cover over. And then to secure those onto place, I'm going to grab my little owl again. And you can see here, this is what I've done for that journal that I was using. And I'm just going to first separate the two little legs with the tip and just going to flick them to opposite sides before I push onto them so that they are very well in place. And to push onto them, I just use the back of the owl. It works really great. And you can, I'm not sure if I show you up close, but you'll be able to feel like it goes really smooth. Now for this project, they went in really, really nicely, and the piece of fabric that I have over them is quite thick, so I'm not going to add anything to that, but you could definitely add a piece of washi tape or just like masking tape to make sure that they stay in place and that the fabric wouldn't get caught on there. Now I do plan on gluing some of that fabric, so I'm not too concerned about that for now. And here at this time, I wasn't sure if I was going to leave the lace kind of flapping out like that or not, but I end up just leaving it. So now I'm going to have to clip my fabric back on so that I can sew the rest of the fabrics. I think I am going to glue some parts before I do that though. Or maybe I just glue it. It's been a little bit now that I've done this journal. As you can tell, I mean, right now it is June 6th as I am recording this voiceover, but I filmed this video kind of early May, so it's been a month already. So yeah, I am gluing some of my fabric just so that it lays flat, and I don't plan on sewing because the fabric is not covering the entire front, like the entire cover. Like I am obviously wanting some of the original green to show through. I'm just gonna be applying some glue since I'm not going to be sewing around the bottom and the top of the journal. So just applying that glue little by little, section by section. I'm trying to obviously not apply too much that it'll seep through, but enough that it's not going to be coming off. And I'm going to do the same thing for the velvet. Again, I'm just going to be applying mainly to the middle because I don't want the velvet to leave the spine, but I also don't want that line of glue showing through velvet. If you've worked with velvet before, you probably know what I mean by that. But I figured since I have this seam in the middle there, it is a bit thicker, so it shouldn't show through. And then just bringing everything in place where I want it to be. So now the awaited moment, of course, I am going to begin to sew. So I'm just looking for my needle here, I keep it with all my paper clips because I always use those when I'm creating my signatures. And so I just use a regular needle. In the past, when I didn't have the little owl tool, I'm not sure how to say that word. It's a very strange word. I would just use a very large needle, and that was very difficult. So I'm quite happy to have the tool that I have now, but because I do now, I can just use a smaller needle, and I'm using a wax thread. I really like the white, so that's what I'm using. I like the contrast that it brings, and kind of goes with everything. So I'm just gonna pass my thread through the eye of the needle, and I'm gonna start with, I'm not sure what I'm starting with actually. Let's see. Often I start with the back of my journal because if I make any mistakes, it's a lot more forgiving to have made a mistake in the back. So here, what I'm gonna do is I want this fabric to align the way that I want it as I go through the hole. So it's a whole game of placing the fabric the way you want it and going through the hole while going through the fabric where it has to be. And then I'm just gonna tie a knot there since it's my very first entry. And I'm not doing anything special, I'm just tying a few knots. And I always use some fabric tack to kind of secure those knots at the end, just to make sure that they're not going to come undone. And so I have my first stitch there, and then I'm gonna go back from the inside for this one. And again, just making sure that fabric is aligned because I don't want to create some weird wave. I want it to be as straight as I can. And pushing that needle through. And then this is a little bit of the trickier part, is going through the fabric because you don't exactly see where your hole is. So sometimes it takes a little while to find exactly where it is. Because I do this quite often, I'm used to the measurements that I'm doing. So it's like going up and down the stairs. You don't have to think about how high you're lifting your feet. So it's become a little bit like that for me, thankfully, but in the beginning, you're definitely gonna have some trial and error with that. And again, just making sure that fabric is stretched out where I want it to be. So these are quite a bit of a longer stitch. Along my spine, I like to do longer stitches, but around the edges of the book, I really like to do a little bit of a narrower stitch. That's just my personal preference, of course. As you create, you find your own style and what makes you kind of stand out, right? And like I mentioned, this is really what, when I started stitching my hardcovers, is really when I felt like I had found kind of my signature thing that I always do and that I really enjoy doing, and that is different from other creators. And not that no creator has ever done this, but it does, like everyone has a little bit of their style, and that's what will show through as you experiment with different methods and you put your own twist to it. That's really what will make you kind of stand out. if that's what you want, of course. And here I'm just going to tie off that other end, and then I think I'm just speeding through the other parts that I do because it's just more of the same, of course. But I really hope that this is helpful to see, that perhaps it's giving you a little bit more of an understanding of the kind of work that I put into sewing those covers. It's definitely not, it's not the easiest thing, and I don't know why I put myself through it, but at the same time, I just love the end result so much that I can't imagine not doing it. Oh yeah, so I just skipped through it because it's exactly the same. For the edge, I just go around it. I mean, it's a edge stitch. I'm sure if you, I don't know, like, I'm not a sewer, and I understood how to do that. So I'm sure you guys understand as well. So now my next step, of course, is going to be to add my signatures on here. I've shown that process before, so I really don't feel like I need to share it here, but next will be the flip through of this journal. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video today, and I will talk to you all in my next one. Thank you all so much. Bye now.